Loving, most gracious God, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts be what we need to hear today. Open us up to your will, your way, and your word. For we ask it and pray it in your many names. Amen.
Amen.
So I had to take some notes. They're not long, so it'll only be an hour sermon. But we know this scripture, don't we? Mm-hmm. We know this scripture so well we could probably recite it by heart. We've heard it over and over and over again, and we have been hearing sermons about it from the beginning of time, probably. I know I've preached on it at least 3 or 4 times, and I went back on my notes and I said, yeah, I'm not doing any of those. But we just, you hear it. And each time I hear it, I hear something just a touch different. So I'd like to talk with you a little bit about how the scripture was written and read today. We like to sterilize some of the scripture sometimes, right? And so it was an expert of the law. Well, actually, it was a canon lawyer, right? It was a Pharisee or Sadducee who was responsible for the law in Hebrew, who was quizzing Jesus. He wasn't showing for his self-righteousness, but he was actually testing this young, radical Galilean rabbi that no one really knew, but all of a sudden comes up on this road and is like, oh, this is a new Messiah. He's this unknown rabbi with no rabbinical teaching other than what he got at synagogue. He hadn't gone to school and got an MDiv or a DMin or whatever. He's this young radical kid from the shores of Galilee, a carpenter's son. So this lawyer decides he's going to quiz Jesus. And we know the story, the priest and the Levi walk across the road to get around the person who has fallen among robbers. We know that it's the outcast, the Samaritan, who actually stops and goes, not just, let me help you up and get you on your way, but mends him and puts him up for a night and pays for all of his care. We heard that. We hear it all the time. I want to talk a little bit about what we didn't hear from Jesus that day. What we didn't hear Jesus say was, oh, that priest and that Levi, what good law followers they are. Because when they crossed the other side of the street, they were following Hebrew law. Because they worked in the temple and could not be soiled, or they would not have been able to go and worship God. That was the law. Those are some of the Levitical laws that we hear about all the time used. So Jesus didn't say, oh, look at that priest and that Levi. Weren't they good law followers? Boy, they know the law. They know the law. We also didn't hear Jesus say, well, you asked what your list of neighbors were. So it's the 4 surrounding territories and 10 drachars this way and 10 drachars that way. And those people are your neighbors, but those aren't. And the Samaritans, well, they're definitely not your neighbors. We didn't hear Jesus talk about a list of, oh, this is your neighbor, this is your neighbor, this is your neighbor, this is your neighbor. We didn't hear that. And he could have. Or he could have even just said, everyone, which is what we believe he wanted to say. Everyone is your neighbor. He didn't say it, though. He also didn't say, well, it serves that person right. He knew this road was wrought with bandits and robbers, and he shouldn't have been walking on that road alone. How silly of him to do such a thing. Serves him right. What we hear him say, though, what we hear him say is that he picked the Samaritan in his story. And today he could have picked a queer person, or an immigrant, or a black person, or a Muslim, or a Native American. He could have picked any one of those in today's standard, because they were the outcasts. He picked that person very specifically. He also displayed an enlightenment of love. Because you see, I like to look for Jesus in the story. And I don't think Jesus was the Samaritan in this story. I think Jesus was that person laying in the ditch. Because we hear in Scripture those who has provided me with water, Lord? Who's given you water? We've never met you. And Jesus says, and Scripture tells us, when you give to the least of these, you've given to me. Who have we taken to the hotel and given medical treatment to? Jesus, not you. You've been gone for a long time, but for the least of these. So we hear and see Jesus and that person who was bullied, robbed, beaten. It's scary sometimes to think of what's happening in our world. And when you look at all of the players in this play that Jesus talked about to bring an example of who our neighbors are. And I think we try. I don't think we don't try to be good people and to help people and to do what we do, but there are times where we all fall short. There's times where I know I have some spare change in my pocket and I keep on walking. And even if the person hasn't come up to me and asked for it, I know they're in need. I can see, I'm not that thick. I see it, right? I may even smell it. And I'm busy. My day sets me apart. I need to be somewhere. I need to do something. But we all kind of need to reevaluate where we stand every day in our walk with Christ. Because I believe every day there is an example to show Christ's love in some way, shape, or form. Even if it's just a post on Facebook. You sound down today. I'm here for you. I love you. There's another thing that Jesus says at the very end of this scripture that's so important for us. Because I've all prayed to it myself. Oh, there's this charity that needs money, I'll send them a few bucks. There's this charity that needs money, I'll send them a few bucks. There's this charity that needs money, I'll send them a few bucks. But that's not what Jesus is telling us to do in the last sentence of the gospel. He's not saying take out your checkbook and write a check. I know I'm old, I have a checkbook. He's not telling us that. What he's telling us is to get up and go and do. And if we hear that, we are living like Christ. So here's a story for you. There were 3,000 people walking through Mexico.